First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
The county executive standing by on the line right now, Tony Picente. Good morning.
Good morning.
We have come a long way since last year.
Well, we have. I mean, it's, last 4th of July, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Everybody was hunkered down, or at least no celebrations, no fireworks, no parades, not much of anything. So
this is
a long time coming.
Yeah, this is a big, and the fact that everything has basically been relieved, all the restrictions have been taken down, and we're not having any big outbreaks. I think the MVHS this morning, Dr. Hall reported 2 cases they're dealing with right now. You guys, the county reported no new cases yesterday, so all is going well. Yeah, we're on a we're averaging like 1 to 5 cases a day. I mean, over the 3-day average, over the last week. 0 yesterday, as you said. On the high we had was like 5 on June 21st, I think. So we're still slow on vaccinations, but we're just below the 60% mark of the county, which I had hoped to be at, or at least better, in July with our numbers. But, with some of the other things coming up and, the Boilermaker, maybe that'll boost our numbers a little bit too. So, with positivity rate is low, as Dr. Hall said, the hospitalizations, all that is all good stuff. So what do you say what do you say to people that are criticizing the Boilermaker's decision to require vaccines? I don't criticize anybody that's requiring it, for any type of event. I think if their overall concern is the safety and well-being of the group. I mean, that is a large, look, we know what the Boilermaker is like in the normal year, and obviously it's not going to be even yet as normal as it was in 2019 and before. But, I think any group that wants, to be extra cautious, I think it helps us, and so I'm not going to criticize that. I think it's a way, hopefully, to get more people vaccinated and to stress the importance of the vaccine. I don't think it's a catch-all of just a statement. I think it's more than that. So. Yeah.
One of the lingering threats that a lot of people are talking about is the Delta variant. Does the Oneida County Health Department have the ability to track which cases are that, and are you tracking that?
Well, I think, like always, like we went through with the other, variants in the past or anything else, we have to wait and see what the state, what comes in through the labs and certainly the hospital systems of what we're dealing with. So it's something, we're concerned about and keeping an eye on. I know that, one of my counterparts in, again, down in, there was in Ulster County the other day that, they identified it, Pat Ryan, the county exec there, talked about it. So it's certainly something we're keeping an eye out for. And as soon as, we'll hear it, hopefully we won't. And that's where we got it.
It's almost like you got to be thinking at some point we will. Don't you feel like it's...
Well, like everything else, I guess, we will. We thought about that, last year with the other strain. I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head, or earlier this year, but, we didn't see it. We had rumors of it that, and then when we checked it out, it wasn't. So, I suppose, given the way it's been talked about or spreading a little bit, perhaps we will, or somewhere in the region. It's one of those things we just wait and we can't control right now. We just got to wait and see.
You got to be happy with almost 60% of people at least getting one first dose. I mean, it's not 70, but for the county as a whole to have 59.6 at least having their first dose, that's got to be pretty making you pretty happy.
It is, especially with the 12-year-olds, and 12 and up, and that's what we've been, that's what we're counting, and. The higher, obviously the older population is much higher than that. It's still that group that we need to reach into, the 20s and 30-year-olds and even early 40s that we still, need to get those numbers up.
We watched the percentages go down the minute the age group was lowered, right?
Right.
So that's when, that's when it changes our percentage. So, percentages only tell you part of a story anyway.
It really does. And, the other point there is, we're not, obviously the testing is down, and that's something to look at, too, because, are there cases out there? I mean, look, the numbers 0 and 5 I'm thrilled with, and let's keep it there.
Right.
And we always want to keep in mind that, we're not testing the way we were, 3 months ago, let alone 6 or 8 months ago. So those are things to keep, to keep in the back of our mind, too. But all indications are good, and I think people are, adhering to different things. Things much better now than they were.
We're finally past the part where people are questioning those who are wearing a mask, because there are people who are, whether they're doing it because they're not vaccinated or they're doing it because they're still nervous, and I know some people that are. There were people calling those people out, and we've kind of got past that, so it's no longer new anymore, and we're going to. This has become our. I hate to use the phrase again, but our new normal, I guess. Jim is in Herkimer with a question for the county executive. Hi, Jim.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. What do you have?
Good. Anthony, I just want to say, first of all, I think you do a fabulous job. I admire your approach to everything you're doing up that way, although some of it trickles down here. And keep up the good work. My dilemma is this. I'm a senior citizen, and I've got caught up in that economic recovery relief program for the tenants and the landlords. Mm-hmm. Have you heard any complaints on your end?
It's been moving along.
How to navigate that?
Go ahead.
It has been moving along. It doesn't seem, obviously there's certain bumps in the road in which some tenants have left, and it's hard to get back. Or get their validation. So we've been working with the state and others on how to get through that. So, but other than that, it seems to be much better than it was from the beginning.
The issue I'm facing right now, and I've kind of followed this right to the letter. I was advised to contact Catholic Charities, which I did. I sent a couple of emails to Bill and the gang up there. And according to them, if the tenant doesn't cooperate, all right, with initiating all this, I'm pretty much SOL. And you're just sitting on all this money is out there.
So for those who don't,
you can't get to it.
For those who don't aren't following this, if I'm correct, Jim and Tony, on this, in order for the landlord to get assistance, you've got to get the tenant to sign off on the fact that basically saying we didn't pay, right?
Yes.
You do.
You also have to provide them an additional 12 months going forward at their expense. Not the state's or this recovery program. So,
wow.
If I just can't believe it was, I can't believe it was designed that way. And these are my tax dollars.
Yeah.
So I guess what I really need to know is what can you and Jim Wallace and the rest of your associates, all right, and our state representatives do to spearhead this, because people are livid out there. I mean, this is insult to injury.
It's almost like, Jim, I'm going to hang up and let you can listen to Tony's response, but it's almost, Jim, like the landlords
are at the mercy of their tenants.
That's true. Absolutely. That's true. But almost that the governor, and I think this is because of New York City, that they've demonized the landlords. Like all landlords are bad, and
right.
What
do they need the money for?
Right, you can handle it. You're all rich, and it isn't that way. So, Jim, I'm going to hang up and let Tony continue on this. Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, Jim. Right, Anthony. It's almost
really
as if these are all bad people or something.
Well, this is the design of these programs when they roll us out and say we're going to give this relief. Oh, but then we're going to come up with guidelines that half of the people, or more than that, can't meet. And we've been, as counties and across the state have been clamoring for, to look at how this program can be improved. Now, there are provisions if you can prove. I mean, as you get down into it, whether people did leave and did not pay or whatever, and show various statements. I know that gets dicey, but at the end of the day,
either we're going to help the landlords or we're not, and that's really what it's got to come down to. So I wish I had, a better answer for Jim. I share that frustration as we do, and we keep working it every day to try and find a solution. But the state has to change the guidelines.
So if you have a contentious relationship with a tenant, they're not signing. And you're
or if
especially something that says I haven't paid in 12 months,
and you can't find them.
Right. Yeah.
That's
and now there's this huge debt that's been built up that chances are that landlord's never going to see.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that is there are a lot of these things that become issues, and everybody has their own issue coming out of this thing, right down to, and speaking to Carrie Pulio this morning from the Chamber of Commerce, right down to these extended unemployment benefits. Employers are ready to go. There's there's an excitement, I think, in the air. People have money. They want to spend it, but you can't get the products because the companies don't have the employees and the ability. And it affects everything from manufacturing to shipping to retail. I mean, it's a real problem.
And the real problem, look, there's no question on all of those things that you mentioned, and then, bigger business, but, our small businesses are really struggling. Our restaurants and smaller establishments that, just can't bring people back. I've been, since we've been out and about more in the last few weeks, you go to places and, and it's unfortunate the way that a restaurant is not because of the large crowd, which in some places it's full, but it's because they just don't have enough help. To put out the meals and put out and wait on tables and do the things that are necessary. And so these businesses that have been struggling through this pandemic, through the takeout phase of it only, and now have been able to open up and do that, can't bring people back, and that's really killing those small businesses. Some of them I've talked to and said, well, I should have stayed closed. I don't know what, but, that's the shame of it. And hopefully, that's got to really, there's got to be some relief here. And we got to get people back to work or require them to go look for work.
Another landlord piping in here saying that the website they have to deal with is just horrible to deal with as well. What do you, I guess my suggestion would be, and you tell me if this is the right one, would be to contact like Senator Griffo's office. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this ultimately comes. You got the legislature is out, but clearly they've got the louder voices in many areas, and I can assure you we're all working to try to get this this improved. Yeah. So I don't want to pass the buck and just say, well, I'll pass it over to the state and blame it, although it's their guidelines and it comes out of their offices. And I talked to the former or the director or the commissioner of Office of Temporary Disability or Services, Family and Children's Services, Mike Hine, who used to be county executive in Ulster. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I just explained. I said, look, it's not a matter of us getting the message out. It's a matter of us getting the money out when you've got regulations that are almost impossible in some cases to adhere to. Yeah. So it really does have to be changed, and I think the more people, can complain. I know Senator Tedesco did something the other day about it. Those are things that we need to keep doing, and hopefully they'll wake up and change the regs.
All right. We appreciate your time and hope you have a great holiday weekend.
I hope you do too, even despite the rain for the next couple of days. And hopefully we can really enjoy the 4th.
Looks like Sunday looks turning around, and Monday looks really nice as well. So.
Yeah, it does. It does. So enjoy and stay safe.
All right, County Executive, thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a great weekend. County Executive Anthony Picente.